I watched this reel this morning on Instagram. It's from a frustrated millennial, and he's basically saying that he's staying in bed.
I don't know if y'all been paying attention to millennials in this layoff economy, but we don't want to do nothing, and rightfully so. I don't want a new hobby. I don't want a job search. All I want to do is lay down because I done did everything y'all done told me to do all my life. So I've done everything everybody else wanted to do. Find me a church.
I've done everything everybody else wants to do. Find me a church.
Find me some rest. I done went to the prestigious university. I done had the glorious job title. I done climbed the corporate ladder. It was all a lie. You know the Everest commercials that was like, you're sitting on your couch, you might as well get up, and I want to do the reverse. You're sitting on your couch, stay your ass right there.
Respect on that. Now, this tracks with what I've seen from people that I know. I won't name any names, but they did everything right. They got a STEM degree, they have solid work experience, and now they're no better off than me, who went to work in media of all things. Like, damn, I'm trying to keep my kids out of liberal arts, but why? Like, should I show them their uncle with a PhD in neurochemistry who can't get a job? At least not in the United States, or their uncle who's been working in IT for over a decade and he can't get a job. Might as well go and study history and sociology like me. Anyway, hello, good people. I am Maya and I cover social psychology and history. Yes, I studied that in school. No, I can't get a job in my field. I don't think jobs in my field exist, but I guess this counts. What am I supposed to say to my unemployed family? Start a YouTube? No. These people have self-respect. I will not do that to them. Is what I am noticing is just this anecdotal evidence. But what happens when everybody I know has the same anecdotal evidence? Now, the downstream implications on our society of this hiring slowdown are massive. First and foremost, the birth rate. This has been raised directly to me from frustrated people who just question having kids. Someone said, so y'all admitting that this economy is bad. Not even animals are dumb enough to procreate when times are tough. Why do you expect women to? And that was a reply on a comment I made on my friend's page. And I don't know why this person had to get so serious about this dating scenario, which may or may not have happened. But I've seen this comment repeated a lot. So I don't even know if this person is real or what their motivation is. And then this person added, nobody expects women to procreate. That's why only the dumb ones with no common sense have kids now. Oh man, I want to tell my toddler. That's just ridiculous to me. I believe if you want to have kids, you should have them. Your regrets will stay with you long after the economy corrects itself. But I do understand the point. And who's going to have babies if they can't get jobs? What are these babies going to eat? Other babies? Now, that's absolute nonsense, of course, but that's their argument. Now, of course, the people spreading this message could be Russian and Chinese bots trying to undermine our birth rates because it's 2026 and you just have to worry about those things now. Anyway, but I do think it's a valid concern of people who are like in their 20s and 30s. They're legitimately putting off families because they feel financially unstable. I will do another video on birth rates. But we did see a dip in birth rates in Japan that coincides with the oil crisis of the 1970s, and they never recovered. Economics isn't just about the economy. It's about all aspects of our lives and our future. And maybe this time we can learn from other people's mistakes and avoid doing them ourselves. Don't laugh at that. People have learned from other people's mistakes before. If you're still laughing, you're a history major. It could happen. We could learn from other people's mistakes at some point, once, ever. Second, the morale of Gen Z and millennials is so low that they are adopting the laying down philosophy. We call it bed rot, and it is a term that needs no explanation. You may be doing it right now. Now, laying down was a trend in China where young people just saw that the cards were stacked against them, and they said, you know what? I'm not playing. This is from people who played the game and they realized that there was no way to win at this game. The house wins. You don't win. Young recent grads, they can't find jobs. 30-something experienced workers, they can't get new jobs after layoffs. YouTubers, they are making videos about how they can't get jobs. And at some point, it's no longer My cousin knows a guy, and it becomes a broad systematic problem that actually needs addressing. Plus, of course, my guilty pleasure is studying new forms of gaslighting, because the balls on the establishment, and by gaslighting, I mean the establishment is shifting blame onto the victims and making it seem like it's the candidate's fault. These candidates, they are doing their absolute best. They are following the advice of job boards and they are getting resume help, etc. But they're making it seem like it's their fault, that they are the ones messing up and not a systematic problem. They make it seem like it's the candidate's fault that they are unemployed. And for some it is, but for most, it's a shift in the hiring market. I watched this YouTube video from a computer science graduate who is now looking for jobs in retail and food prep and literally whatever he can get, because his computer science degree isn't landing him a job, isn't landing him interviews, isn't giving him anything. And what was his crime? Well, he didn't do enough internships during college. Well, it's not great. He should have done more internships, but it doesn't seem like it should be a deal breaker. Like, why aren't these companies starting him in like a probationary period or doing anything at all to train him, to get him up to speed with the position? That's gaslighting. That is gaslighting. And they are making him feel as if he is the problem when these major companies and this corporate culture, they are the problem. They are the problem. So all the values that we are taught, work hard, work smart, and this country will reward you with an okay lifestyle and family, that's being completely eroded. And once that happens, I don't know. Are we just all supposed to bed rot at that point? If you can have kids, who are they supposed to marry if half the generation can't afford to have children? Like, just think about it. Can we think past the next quarter? No, of course not. Laughs in history major. I will do a video about the collapsing birth rates, but this video is about the hiring slowdown, and that applies directly to the collapsing birth rate. Just so you know, you are not crazy. They are messing with you. Also, we bailed out a lot of these companies over COVID. So yes, they need to be hiring Americans, or maybe they need to give the money back so millennials can afford to go and get a tiny house in the middle of nowhere and start a homestead. We could all be homestead YouTubers. We can't all be, but maybe we could. Anyway. And yes, I will freely admit there are less jobs available now than there were during COVID. And there is also a problem with how people are getting hired. Millennials and Gen Z are getting hit with this double whammy here. And this video is going to focus on the bureaucratic problems with how people are getting hired, because that's the new thing. The economy, it goes up and down. But in previous times, there wasn't such a disconnect between people looking for jobs and the companies hiring. That part is new. Also, is there anything we can do about them? Any action we can take? First, you may have heard of these ghost jobs. These are posting for jobs that are not available. They don't exist. Either the company plans to hire from within or just posted to make it appear as if they are hiring, or the position has already been filled. Then many qualified applicants send their resumes over, and then they hear nothing. Or maybe they get called in for an interview that leads to nothing. Maybe a series of interviews, many interviews. I can't stand these many interviews. What is being done about this? Now, here is a clip. This is from a letter from Representative Keith Self of Texas to Acting Secretary of Labor, Julie A. Sue. She's no longer the Acting Secretary of Labor. This is from 2024. A concerning report surveyed 1,000 hiring managers in October 2023 highlights the growing prevalence of ghost jobs. Hiring managers cited several reasons for posting these ghost jobs. Some wanted to create the impression that their company was growing, while others aimed to reassure overworked staff by signaling help was on the way. Help was not on the way. Spoiler alert, help was not on the way. Another group admitted that they left job listings open, hoping their dream candidate might eventually apply. You know what? Sometimes you just got to settle. And that person will become the dream candidate. The results also revealed that 68% of employers surveyed posted job postings that remained alive for more than 30 days, and 40% kept listings open for even longer life cycles, extending to 2 or 3 months. Additionally, 50% of hiring managers confess they manipulated their postings to serve as talent pools for future vacancies, but failed to inform applicants that their application to these posts would not actually fill an immediate or near-term vacancy. This was from September 27, 2024, and Julie Su, she doesn't even work there anymore. Now, technically, this falls under the jurisdiction of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, but they have been unable to act. This is what Congress.gov says about that. Extending FTC enforcement efforts to ghost jobs would likely present legal challenges. Okay, well, you're the law, so okay, go ahead. An employer's intent to hire for a given position is not easily discoverable and may be subjective, making proof of deception difficult. For unfairness, Section 5N requires substantial injury to consumers that is neither reasonably avoidable nor offset by countervailing benefits. The harms to consumers from ghost job postings, while real, are less direct and less quantifiable than when an applicant is defrauded or deceptively induced to work. No harm to consumers, they say. But people now have to apply to hundreds of jobs to land one position, sometimes even one interview. Now, this is disheartening and it destroys people's confidence. But I guess death by 1,000 cuts, the FTC can't do anything about it. They can only do something about death by one big cut. So they're like, our hands are tied. Also, unfortunately, there are just straight up fake postings by scammers. They post these ads to get applicants' personal information and they use that for profit. So they take these old job postings from legit companies and then they repost them. That is just straight up fraud. That's not ghost jobs. That's straight up fraud. But it's easier with this new technology that we have now to have this deceptive presentation. And so now you're on a job hunt and you've also got to be a hobby detective just to find a job. Like you don't have enough to worry about. Anyway, my friend has a conspiracy theory that I really liked, but he said that there is a recruiting mafia that consists of private recruiting middlemen, and they purposely do not hire candidates so they can keep charging by the hour. I was like, ooh, that's a good conspiracy theory. But I looked it up, and as devilish as it sounds, these recruiters actually tend to get paid by positions filled, not by the hour. It's not like it's fixing the roads or anything. You got to be serious. But all kidding aside, that's how bad it has gotten, that there are conspiracy theories floating around. And the truth is even more absurd than the conspiracy theories. Now, the next major systematic problem that is keeping people from working is this, I'd say, incompetent or lazy HR departments relying too heavily on AI, or maybe the HR relies on AI because they don't know the details of the position itself. Now, this JobScan report estimates that 97.8% of Fortune 500 companies are relying on AI to screen candidates. Now, this is called application tracking systems, or ATS filtering, which may or may not use AI, but you'll see that it's called AI in the reports. It is using big tech and big data to decide if a human actually reads this resume or not. AI is kind of a catch-all for big data now. It's semantics, but yes, there is also sometimes AI used. Just FYI. Now, this is a quote from the Harvard Business Review from a report called Hidden Workers, Untapped Talent. At the same time, an enormous and growing group of people are unemployed or underemployed, eager to get a job or increase their working hours. However, they remain effectively hidden from most businesses that would benefit from hiring them by the very process those companies use to find talent. The irony that companies consistently bemoan their inability to find talent while millions remain on the fringes of the workforce led us to seek an explanation. How could such a breakdown in the fundamental laws of supply and demand occur? Why do companies consistently overlook large pools of talent? What changes would companies have to make to take advantage of that talent? Why is everyone socialist now? This is why everyone's a socialist now. And I swear the next video, the follow-up video to this, I'm going to be here in a Mandami shirt because this stuff is infuriating. And I'm not even a socialist. But look at this stuff. I'm like, I get it. Anyway, the report goes on. As a result, They exclude from consideration viable candidates whose resumes do not match the criteria, but could perform at a high level with training. A large majority, 88% of employers agree, telling us that qualified high skills candidates are vetted out of the process because they do not match the exact criteria established by the job description. That number rose to 94% in the case of middle skills workers. So a very important part of growing up is realizing that everybody is just incompetent. There are no adults. I'm sorry, we're the adults, and we seem to be blocked from progressing by a bunch of binary code. Like it's depressing, but also these companies, they are failing. Like, they can't possibly sort through all these hundreds of job applications. Why not? Why not? Why can't you hire humans in a contract position who know the positions and have them sort through the applications? Pay them money to do it. You're paying this AI company money, pay them. Stop relying on AI. Stop relying on ATS. It's been years now we have this problem. When are major corporations going to realize that this doesn't work? Now, I get it. The job market isn't what it used to be. And this report from the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, this is by Jeff Horwich, I hope I pronounced that right, calls this the ugliest labor market in years. Long-term unemployment is now at a quarter of the unemployed, and that means that a quarter of the unemployed have not been able to find jobs for 27 weeks or more. So it's like 6 months. Plus, the bad economy means that people who haven't technically been unemployed, like they're caregivers or they're stay-at-home moms, which is a caregiver, now they're back in the game, and the game is just rough. And there were also a lot of layoffs last year. We know that. We covered government workers who lost jobs. Plus, there were major layoffs in entertainment, and Joann's went under. But there are still many jobs out there, and for some reason, no one I know is getting them. What gives? Why would you hire my family? Come on. All kidding aside, it is no wonder that young adults are checking out if nobody is willing to take a chance on them and invest in them. The powers that be seem to want us to get skills and to have kids, but the skills aren't rewarded and people feel like they can't afford the kids. Okay, so what do you think? Have you seen this hiring slowdown affecting you or affecting people in your life? I know it's hard to watch. Who will hold these companies responsible for their hiring incompetence? And most importantly, my most important question of all, do you know of anyone in biotech who's hiring? Because I know someone very qualified. Anyway, thank you, and I will see you next week.